Today I'm going to teach you a new strategy, and this new strategy is called boxes and bullets. It's a way to prepare your writing for an essay that allows you to quickly answer the question, organize your evidence, come up with your ideas, and do it in a way that can easily be transferred into an essay or a short answer. So for this next short unit, we're going to be practicing this boxes and bullets strategy, and I want to show it to you today. So basically today, you're going to go through the boxes and bullets strategy with me. You're going to copy it down. You're going to watch me as I do everything that you would be doing with boxes and bullets. And I really want you to be paying attention to the type of thinking that I'm doing in each step of this process, because it is the process that good readers and good writers go through in order to prepare an essay. So imagine, first and foremost, that you had an essay prompt. So we all know that the very first step of the essay process is the do what strategy, right? So we're going to do the do what strategy, okay, with this prompt. Okay, so this is the prompt that I'm going to model today. And this essentially is a boxes and bullets chart. Notice you have your boxes. I didn't put the bullets in yet because we haven't started typing. But when I do, the bullets will just be those little dots that kind of look like this. These dots up here. Anyway, the very first step we need to do is the do what process. We need to figure out what is it that we need to do. Literally, what are we answering? So we have read chapter 3 in Jerry Spinelli's Loser. Explain the significance of the author's use of the pronoun they in that chapter. Identify the effect it has on the story. Be sure to use evidence from the story to support your thinking. So I know that I need to start by looking for the do word. So I find the word read. So read chapter 3. All right, so that's the first thing I have to do, which we've already done. So we're going to reread it in preparation of writing our essay, but I know I've already done that. And then I look at this second sentence and I see this word explain. I know that's a do word. That is a verb. So I am going to highlight it. Okay, explain. Now, what am I explaining? I am explaining the significance of the author's use of the pronoun they in that chapter. Okay, so I've identified the do. Now I got to identify the what. I'm identifying. So my next verb, notice it's at the beginning of the sentence again, is to identify. And what am I identifying? I'm identifying the effect it has on the story. Okay, so I need to tell my reader what impact, what significance, what importance the use of the pronoun they has. Why did the author choose the pronoun they? Why didn't they choose I or me or we? Why did they keep using that pronoun they? And then I'm reading on a little bit and I see this other verb here, use. And I know use is an action word. So I am going to highlight it. I'm going to highlight it in yellow. Because it is a do word. And what am I using? I am, hold on if I can get this properly. I am using evidence from the story to support my thinking. So I know now what I'm doing. I'm explaining the significance of the author's use of the pronoun they. I'm identifying the effect it has on the story, and I'm using evidence from both the stories. Actually, excuse me, there's not more than one, there's just one. So when I'm ready to write, the first box is where I write my one sentence answer to the question. So that's where you do the TTQA. You turn the question around, you write your one sentence answer to your question. And then my bullets are going to be my evidence. So if you notice there's already one bullet there, pull that up a little bit. But I want to put at least 2 bullets to support each answer because one may be better than another. Okay, and it's always good to have more evidence versus less. And then you'll notice at the very bottom that there's a second box, okay? Boxes and bullets, okay? Boxes, plural. So the second box is where I write my explanations. So you guys have learned the P strategy. Here's what you want to do. You want to think about the first box as the P, your point. You want to think of the bullets as your evidence, and you want to think of the last box as your explanation. So if you think of it that way, it's a really quick way to put the P strategy together, and it can be done with any essay. So let's go back to the story and let's find our thinking. Okay, so I'm going to look at this text, and I'm going to look specifically at the author's use of the pronoun they. And I want to be looking for evidence that I might use in my essay where the author used the word they for a particular reason or it had a particular effect. And I want to be thinking, why does the author continue to use the pronoun they? So I want to be looking for evidence, but I also want to be formulating my answer. So I'm going to reread the text in order to do that. When? Sooner or later, the let loose sidewalk pups will cross the street. Running, they will run into each other. And sooner or later, as noses dip downward, it will no longer be enough to merely run. They must run against something, against each other. It is their instinct. So I'm already starting to formulate an opinion. And I think that they being used over and over again was not a mistake on the part of the author. He's making a separation between Zinkoff or the narrator and whoever they are. So there's this us versus them almost mentality. Let's race, one will shout, and they race. From trash can to corner, from stop sign to mailbox. Their mothers holler at them for running in the streets, so they go to the alleys. They take over the alleys, make their alleys their own streets. They race in July, and they race in January, they race in the rain, and they race in the snow, and they race side by side. They are actually racing away from each other, shifting themselves apart. So I'm getting this feeling that, like, this race may not actually be a race, that it might be like a metaphor for something bigger. And that the they is other people, so that the author is, in my mind, starting to separate them versus me. And I wonder if the me might be Zinkoff, the main character in our story. But let me keep reading and see. Although they race side by side, they are actually racing away from each other, shifting themselves apart. I am fast. You are slow. I win. You lose. So that's supporting my theory that there's an us versus them going on in this story. They forget never to remember again. And they are pups from the same litter. So I'm also noticing this reference to like dogs and acting like dogs. But I know that author is talking about people. So why is he comparing them to pups? Maybe because they're acting like animals? I don't know. I'm going to have to keep reading and see what that is. And they discover something. They like winning more than they like losing. They love winning. They love winning so much that they find new ways to do it. Who hit the telephone pole with a stone? Who eat the most cupcakes? Who can go to bed the latest? Notice, these aren't actually races. These are like who won the most. I'm going to go ahead. Who. Burping, growing, throwing, running, everything is a race. So that's supporting my theory that this is more than just a running race. There are winners everywhere. I win, I win, I win. Wow. I noticed there that my author has switched the pronoun to I. Okay, so there's an us versus them, and they win, but not me. The sidewalks, the backyards, the alleyways, the playgrounds, the winners, except for Zinkoff. Wow, my theory's right. Okay, there are winners, except for Zinkoff. There are winners, and then there's Zinkoff, our main character. Zinkoff never wins, but Zinkoff doesn't notice. Neither do the pups. Not yet. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing there. So there's a they, and then there's Zinkoff. So the author is really doing this great job of separating the other quote-unquote pups from Zinkoff. And I think that the author used they because I think that the author is trying to show the difference between the other children and Zinkoff. So that's what I'm going to go back to, and I'm going to put that in my box because that is my answer. So now I'm going to do the TTQA strategy. So the TTQA strategy, I have to read the question and flip it around. Okay, explain the significance of the author's use of the pronoun. The author uses the pronoun, it would help if I spelled it right, pronoun they in this chapter to show the difference between Zinkoff and the other children. And I'm going to put a comma here, which he calls pups. And I'm going to put it in quotation marks because it's not my words. It's the author's words. So notice, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, so I just did a 1-sentence answer in the first box. I used TTQA, I flipped the question around, and after reading it, I put my answer in there. So now I have to do my bullets. And in order to get bullets, just so you're aware, in case you don't know this, maybe you do, maybe you don't. When you need to get bullets, this little icon up here is a great way to get bullets. And bullets are where you actually put your E, your evidence. So I'm going to find some evidence that supports my theory. And I loved this line up here, okay? And I'm going to Control C. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to put it into my Word document because, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Why is it doing that? Because I want to be able to have my evidence along with my answers. So when I go to write my essay, I already have all the evidence I need. So hopefully this will let me copy. I'm getting a sneaking suspicion that it doesn't want to let me copy. Darn it. Okay, so I'm just going to write it by hand. I just need to review it for a minute. They like winning more than they like losing. So they like winning. I'll make sure when I do it with you that I have a PDF that you can copy. They like winning more than they like losing. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple quotes here. And I'm going to put another little bullet down there. And I want to find a couple quotes that support my theory and that I can use because maybe I want to use one. I want to use this one right here, except for Zinkoff. Zinkoff never wins. So I thought that was a really great quote. I thought that was a great quote. And I'm going to do one more because we do 3 bullets for every single answer. You want to be able to choose 3. Let's see. Let's see here. They must run against something. I'm going to choose that line because I think that's significant in this story. They run against something. Okay, so those are going to be my quotes. Maybe I don't use them all. Maybe I choose one over another. But here's the thing. You want to put more than one quote because when you start writing, you may find that you don't like the quote you thought you did. So it's really important. Now, down at the bottom, my last box is my E, my second E, which is my explanation. So imagine that this has been my quotes. This is my answer, okay? I'm just going to explain it. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it as I do it. Okay? And it's short, so it should fit in there. The author makes a distinction, which is a separation, between Zinkoff and the other students, other children, I'm going to call them, by using the pronoun they. They are different from Zinkoff. There is a me, which is Zinkoff, and then there is a them. Oh, again, I'm spelling, which is